The dark hides many terrifying things, not just in the woods or the shadows, but sometimes out in the open. Be it ghosts, creatures, supernatural entities, or outright demons. Today's video is all about encounters from around the world that many thought were impossible, but they turned out to be real.
Why you keep following me?
Two friends, while hanging out together, were driving down the road when a large, mysterious basket appeared in their way.
Bro, what the hell is that? No. Bro, you seen that?
Just as one of them got out and got close enough to have a look at it, a feminine figure appeared, wearing some kind of frock and standing in a strange posture. Seconds after catching both their attention, it casually stepped sideways until it slipped behind a corner wall, almost as if it wanted them curious enough to follow. Now, obviously, being concerned for their safety, they decided not to. Locked skinwalker. An unknown source shared a video online where he showed from under the locked door a being of bizarre nature. It had usually long limbs with a head that was in a condition too hard to even explain in words. The exact details with regards to its nature of what it was, or how it was brought and locked up here, remain a mystery. However, many of the netizens started calling it a mythical creature known as the Skinwalker, due to its very similar resemblance. Crying demon girl.
Ayo, kenapa? Kamu kenapa?
A woman, after noticing a sobbing girl, decided to check on her. Despite her repeated verbal attempts to talk, the girl never responded until the source had to initiate a conversation via physical touch.
Yuk, masuk yuk. Siapa ini?
It was this moment, as the girl turned out to look nothing like one, but some kind of a demon that took the shape of a child. As the woman panicked in fear and backed out, the demon girl happened to disappear in a fraction of a second. Trail road silhouette. A tourist, while passing through the wilderness in Himachal Pradesh, India, had to come to a sudden halt when he took notice of this. A ghost, or at least a silhouette of one, appeared in the middle of the hilly forest as the man was making his way up. It seemed to be either wearing or having the appearance of a whitish cloak that it was under, casually passing without showing any intention to scare away the tourist. He still reversed just to be safe until the silhouette disappeared in the tree line. Abandoned chapel nun. Two YouTubers who decided to explore a World War II era chapel. As they were passing room by room, getting the feel of the place, they started to hear sounds of disturbance.
What was that?
Just as they would check out the source of the disturbance, they'd suddenly hear another, until it got to a point where they discovered a face of what looked like a ghost of a nun staring at them from the other side of the door. This spooked them enough to leave the building in concern for safety.
Oh my God!
Where even after it, the ghost of the nun still appeared, staring them from a window, and another one that was on the roof, looking down upon them.
Come on, show yourself. Guys.
Zombie witch. A hiker who, after losing his way in the wilderness, came across this unknown creature that appeared from the dark shadow of the forest and started following him.
Why you keep following me?
Being lost and at the same time chased by this entity left him worried that he filmed the moment on camera in case he wasn't able to make it. The clip randomly gets cut off, leaving it as another mystery.
What do you want from me?
Clearest kuntilanak sighting.
Siapa yang nangis? Astagfirullahaladzim.
A small-town resident was out walking around the block when he noticed a woman sitting on top of a tree. With how weird the moment looked, he took his camera out and started recording as he approached it.
Halo? Mbak?
By the non-responsive and mysterious nature of it, he decided to keep a distance while circling it. Later, when the video was shared online, many called it a kuntilanak sighting. The kuntilanak is a vengeful female spirit from Indonesian and Malaysian folklore, often depicted as a pale woman in white with long black hair, haunting the night. Spirit of Bride.
Hello?
Even when everyone abandoned this church long ago, it became a place of haven for unseen life forms. A self-proclaimed paranormal investigator decided to explore a long-abandoned church that had broken down over time. While barely having scratched the surface, he spotted a silhouette of a spirit that looked very much like a well-dressed woman. Now, even though the sight of it immediately left him terrified, it was later labeled as the church wandering spirit of the bride.
Ah! Oh my god! What the is that?
Headless hallway figure. One of the tenants of an apartment complex in Shanghai, China, recorded and shared this footage, showing a bizarre-looking figure that was blocking the hallway and the elevator. It looked to be missing a head, as if it were cut off while still being clearly alive, and was dressed in a doctor's coat. What was its purpose, or how it ended up being here, remains a mystery. But according to the source, there was a morgue nearby the apartment from where it could have come. Village girl taken over. While visiting a cemetery, a bystander discovered this spooky-looking girl who was sitting next to a concrete-covered grave. It was staring at him briefly while clenching its jaw in a way as if it were intimidating him. Now, this wasn't an actual demon appearing in its physical form, but rather a village girl who was taken over by one. Not knowing how far things could escalate, he decided to leave due to safety concerns. Backseat witch. While driving through the countryside, a man captured chilling footage of a strange figure in the back seat of a car ahead of him. The figure appeared to be a woman with a dark, unsettling face and glowing eyes, resembling a witch, and was classified to be one soon after. She stared directly at him, her gaze unbroken, before suddenly thrashing about as if trying to smash through the rear window, showing aggressiveness. Was this truly a witch on the loose, or a possessed woman being transported for treatment? Food cart encounter. A food cart owner who, while working, had one of the weirdest and most spooky encounters. In the clip, a terrifying-looking witch or spirit is visible that was staring at the woman as if it were patiently waiting to be served. It was in some kind of white attire, having extremely long hair with a decaying, if not a horrifying face. One of the bystanders who happened to be recording decided to stick around a bit longer, not just out of curiosity, but for the safety of the food cart woman. Real-life Stalking Chucky. A man who was camping in the middle of the night started to hear a strange noise all around.
I heard that eerie laugh right there.
Just as he decided to grab a flashlight and investigate until this appeared. Now this looks clearly something like a stuffed toy or doll that was either haunted by an evil spirit or came to life, having chosen to terrorize the lone camper. Street zombie man. A woman had just parked her car when she noticed something horrifying outside. A man standing nearby with his body bent unnaturally backward and his face frozen in a wide, unsettling expression. His eyes were wide open, unblinking, and he appeared almost possessed. Suddenly, he began moving rapidly in a bizarre, unnatural way. She couldn't tell how long he had been standing there or why no one else was around to witness it. The only explanation she could come up with was that she might have just encountered a real-life zombie. Haunting ghost child. Another paranormal encounter from Mexico, where a local who started checking out a partially demolished building after hearing the continuous sound of wailing. Just at the start of the staircase, he spotted an unresponsive child who wasn't responding or paying attention to him, calling out,
Señor, Dios mío, ten piedad.
The local was already suspicious of this being some kind of spirit rather than a child, especially as it kept on ignoring his plea of concern.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum.
Blocking road spirit. Two men were passing on a road late in the night when a really tall, girl-like figure appeared that was dressed as a doll. The fact that it suddenly appeared and seemed to be moving back and forth looked as if it were purposely stopping them. Both of them waited for an opportunity to move until they were forced to turn around and look for an alternate route. Road wandering spirits. A driver shared his dashcam footage on TikTok showing the moment when a strange tall figure in a kind of human form appeared on the road. According to him, it was attempting to slowly walk up to his car, either to get in or get him out, for whatever reason. On the very same road, another incident was reported by a different driver, only this time, the walking figure wasn't the same and looked to be going in an opposite direction. From both these cases, it is probably the appearance of not one, but multiple spirits that wander this road. Dark forest entity. While walking through the forest, a man noticed something unusual not far from him. At the edge of his flashlight's beam sat an unknown figure. It didn't move or turn to look at him. It just sat there, eerily still. From a distance, it resembled a human dressed in blue, as if it were waiting to be noticed. Stalking Una Bruha. A remote resident was enjoying his time in the woods when his door was knocked on shortly before he spotted this. At first, he thought it could be someone in costume, but the very nature and appearance of it made him believe this was actually a witch, if not something far worse.
Oh my god, she's still standing there.
The figure, later referred to as Una Bruha, was dressed in robes over a large frock, with a smirk on its Frankenstein-like face. Chasing zombies? A man was out on a late-night walk when he noticed the silhouette of a lone woman sitting on a table, behaving abnormally. Within seconds, she spotted the man and immediately began to chase him. The source described the feeling he had at that moment as if he were being chased by a real-life zombie. The video gets cut off abruptly, but considering that it made it to the internet, shows the man survived the encounter. Midnight home invasion. A homeowner who woke up to a disturbance in his house grabbed a flashlight to check it out. Just as he made his way out of the bedroom, noticed what clearly looked like a supernatural figure in a physical form, having a spooky nature. Although it stood there idly, its appearance, along with noticing it suddenly, is what made it super scary for the homeowner. Emerging supernatural nightmare. A bystander who was heading out for a late-night shift noticed this bizarre silhouette of what looked like a humped woman. What made it more concerning was how dark it was, despite the ambient light it was spotted. The shadowy entity was moving in a parallel direction with a hump-like posture, and the source decided to keep his distance for obvious reasons. He attempted to zoom in on it without getting any closer, hoping to get some answers, but still couldn't make anything of it. Taken over by demon. An Uber driver was just about done with his late-night rides and was parking his car. It was at this moment that he noticed a troubled young woman who was randomly flinching while carrying a teddy bear. He attempted to talk to her in hopes of helping out, but she was completely unresponsive. The girl had a very disturbing-looking face, showing that she may have been taken over by a demon or a supernatural entity. Pillar climbing witch. This is perhaps the first time that a witch has gone to extreme lengths for its unseen goal. In a residential area of Indonesia, a concerned neighbor captured unsettling evidence of a troubled, feminine-looking entity climbing a pillar from the ground to sneak its way up to the first floor. Resembling a ring girl hunting for her next victim after 7 days, the figure gave off the eerie presence of a witch, or perhaps a girl possessed by a demon, leaving viewers deeply haunted. Pretend mannequin. A woman in the US was heading home when an unusual movement inside a boutique caught her attention. Feeling uneasy, she began recording, and to her shock, the mannequin behind the glass display slowly turned its head as if locking eyes with her. The unnerving part was that it was past midnight, and every store was closed, making it impossible for anyone to have been inside to cause the mannequin to move. Could it be that the mannequin was taken over by some type of spirit or supernatural entity, like it did for Chucky? Shadowy dwarf following. While trekking through a forest, a man repeatedly felt as though he was being followed, occasionally glimpsing a small figure in the distance that vanished whenever he tried to approach. Later, while filming himself in an open field, his camera finally captured the presence, a translucent figure silently walking right behind him. Unaware at the time, he only discovered what had been following him when he replayed the footage. Forest bonfire ritual. A man with a camera who somehow ended up in the forest, he came across a cult group. He noticed them wearing special attire while encircling a fire, as if it were some kind of an ongoing ritual. Sitting in his car, he videotaped them while at the same time ready to flee if need be. No such thing as the presence of an altar. This didn't seem like a ritual sacrifice, rather perhaps a summoning of the devil. Dancing entity in shadow. When it comes to the haunting effect created by figures in the dark, this one is uniquely different. A bystander passing through an empty road late at night spotted the appearance of a bizarre entity. Its nature and appearance were unsettling, and it danced as though taunting and instilling fear. At first, the bystander wasn't intimidated until he noticed it was holding a large knife, which it began swinging around while dancing. After waiting for it to disappear for a couple of minutes, he was forced to turn around to look for an alternative path. Seated park ghost. Call it a ghost or the soul of the dead, but this one doesn't look to be meant to scare anyone. A jogger who was just about to start a run noticed this one-of-a-kind development that he decided to film on his camera. The partially visible silhouette looked to be of a female from the long black hair and choice of attire. While some of the viewers called it witchcraft, others were convinced that this was the wandering soul of a recently deceased girl. Hitchhiking shadow. Imagine driving along a mountain road when someone suddenly appears out of nowhere, asking for a ride. A driver returning from a tour trip encountered a hitchhiker who appeared on the roadside. At first glance, the figure seemed partly human, yet partly ghostly. It wasn't just the odd time and place, but also the strange nature of this hitchhiker that made the driver immediately ignore and reject him. What do you think you'd have done in this case? Do share down in the comments. Ghost girl. While venturing deep into the forest, a group of men noticed a figure standing in the distance, appearing at first to be a girl in a white dress, but as they zoomed in, it became clear this was no ordinary girl. The figure's skin looked unnaturally pale and ashy, and no distinct facial features could be seen except for a pair of dark, hollow eyes fixed directly on them. At that moment, the men realized what they were facing was far from human, and they wisely resisted the urge to step any closer. Ice truck girl. An early morning driver was driving down the road when he noticed something that he decided to start recording. A girl who was dressed in a strange, dark outfit was seen standing by the rear doors of a refrigerator truck that was transporting goods for a morning delivery. At first, he thought it could be some ongoing heist, but the girl remained completely still. giving off the vibe of a ghost. The driver attempted to honk to get the attention of the girl, or at least warn the truck driver. Attempted supernatural interaction. A TikTok user shared this weird clip she recorded of herself showing an interaction with what looks like a supernatural being. It appeared from the trees and slowly closed in on the woman who was attempting to get it to talk. It had extremely long hair that covered its body, while it seemed to be hovering. Because it had a human-like face, many were convinced that it was a witch. Appearing ghost fare. Kenta Sato, a taxi driver in Japan, was haunted by the spirit of his ex-girlfriend after their breakup, though his family dismissed it as paranoia until his dashcam captured chilling evidence. Around 2 a.m., he picked up what he thought was a passenger, yet the camera showed no one entering the car. As he drove, a faint shadow appeared in the back seat, fading in and out, before slowly revealing the face of a woman. When Sato arrived at the drop-off point, the seat was empty, but reviewing the footage confirmed his worst fear. The ghostly passenger was his ex-girlfriend. Twisted-legged humanoid. While moving past a forest trail road, everyone on board noticed the sudden appearance of this frail-looking humanoid that appeared out of the blue. Despite the honking and high beams, this twisted-legged humanoid never bothered or reacted to their presence, but continued to walk in its weird fashion. Being terrified of the unknown, they maintained distance and decided not to overspeed and make their way out of this hairy situation. Rising dead from crypt. On the night of September 30th, 2023, in Managua, Nicaragua, a groundskeeper working late reported a disturbing sight. From the entryway of a crypt, a ghostly figure emerged, appearing deeply troubled and almost frantic. Within moments, it vanished, as though drawn toward a nearby pillar. The witness described the apparition as bearing an uncanny resemblance to La Llorona, the vengeful spirit from Mexican folklore. The encounter has since stirred speculation, leaving many to wonder about the mysteries of the night and the spectral forces that may linger within it. Actual witchcrafting. When it comes to witches, it looks like they aren't all as eerie as they may seem. A woman posted a video on her TikTok that soon went viral, showing herself taking part in a ritual led by some of the most powerful witches in Europe while she was visiting Romania. These real-life witches trace their craft back centuries, with roots in the Roma people.
We're setting up some items from around the room, I guess whichever ones are needed for this ritual.
Their practices blend ancient knowledge and traditions that have been carefully passed down from generation to generation, preserving a lineage of mysticism that remains alive to this day. Haunted forest bus. A hunter was passing through the woods looking for a game when he discovered a long, crashed, and abandoned bus that he decided to check out. While scanning the bus from outside, he noticed a small girl with a spooky nature sitting inside, unscathed or bothered. As soon as he attempted to confront the girl from the inside of the bus, she wasn't anywhere to be seen, making him realize that this bus may very well be haunted by it. Headless waiter. A security guard shared unusual footage with his supervisor that appeared to show a waiter in the hallway, prompting the staff to review the recording closely. What they saw was startling. The waiter carried a tray while walking down the corridor, yet his body was incomplete, with nothing visible above his shoulders and no feet beneath him. The clarity of the footage ruled out camera distortion, as everything else appeared perfectly normal. Stranger still, no staff member had ever seen this waiter in person, raising unsettling questions about who or what had actually been caught on camera. Una Bruha chasing. A man who was out in the forest collecting firewood discovered that he wasn't alone. He felt the presence of another entity that was following him until he spotted it. It looked very much like the mythical being called Una Bruha, though this one seemed to be missing both its legs. Despite this, it managed to crawl with incredible speed as a bluff charge to scare the recorder away. Soon after the sudden sprint, the man ran for safety. Vanishing Lady. In February 2020, Twitter user Daniel Agaro7 shared a chilling video showing a woman in a long white dress walking near a pool late at night. At first, she appears to be casually strolling, but then she suddenly makes a sharp turn and begins to fade, slowly disappearing until she vanishes completely. For skeptics who might assume it was just a camera glitch, the footage makes it clear that not a single frame was skipped before her eerie disappearance. Jungle Road Fire. Coming across a native jungle tribe is probably the last thing that you may have expected, because that is what happened here. A dash cam of a driver who was making his way through the forest until he noticed a blockage of the road by a fire. In seconds, a couple of unknown individuals appeared, who seemed to be responsible for the fire. The driver maintained distance while still signaling to clear the way, where the clip cuts off. Empty Cabin Witch. Following a tragic incident that struck his family near an abandoned house, a man set out to uncover the truth behind it. Inside the house, he came across a doll placed on an old sofa. The moment he lifted it, a terrifying figure materialized before him, appearing like a witch practicing dark magic within the walls. The encounter was so terrifying that from then on, no one dared to live anywhere near the abandoned house. Demon Territory Trespassed. No matter how skilled one may be, there are times when one bites more than one can chew. For a small team of paranormal investigators, this was exactly the case. Ignoring repeated warnings from locals, they ventured into a haunted area whose location remains undisclosed. It wasn't long before they encountered a terrifying demon with visible wings, accompanied by several minions. Soon, they found themselves nearly surrounded, their chances of escape growing slimmer by the second. Fortunately, luck was on their side, and they managed to find a way out before it was too late. In Singapore, employer Neural Baker discovered unsettling surveillance footage of her maid behaving in a disturbing manner after emerging from the shower. Dressed in a white outfit, the maid was seen walking through the apartment, bent forward with her hands behind her back, resembling a scene from a horror film. The incident, captured on camera, quickly went viral online, leaving viewers divided. While some believed the maid was genuinely possessed, others suspected the bizarre behavior was rather abnormal enough for her to leave the job and return home. The footage sparked widespread debate, with many noting how deliberately the maid positioned herself within the camera's view. Open discussion. This picture and video were taken on a beach in Manaus, Brazil, on April 30th, 2025, where authorities were mysteriously called by a bystander who noticed a mysterious woman who looked like she was possessed and, at the same time, narrowly dodged drowning. She remained completely still, even after the help arrived, and was trying to initiate contact with her. There is only little that is known about the incident. Not much can be said about what happened here or how it ended. However, do share with us if you have any information about this in the comments. The video has definitely reached its end. Thank you very much for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.